Alright, so I'm going to probably do these as one video, but now we're going on to Buffalo Trace's White Dog. And this is for match bill number 1, so this is Buffalo Trace with no aging at all. So, yeah. And this is 125 proof, whereas the Makers was 90.
Yeah,
so
this is their actual entry proof. This is legitimately just what they put into the barrel, put in a bottle.
Yes.
So this ends up being regular Buffalo Trace.
It could be
Buffalo
anything.
Trace, Eagle Rare.
It could be literally anything in the line. This could have ended up being Stag one day.
Yes.
It just depends.
Any of their non-weeded stuff.
Any of the... Oh, mash bill number 1.
Yeah.
Specifically. It couldn't become a Blanton's or anything.
No, because Blanton's is Nashville too.
Correct. But it could be an E.H. Taylor single barrel. It could be...
So they all start with
a
the same
Stag
mash
Junior.
bill?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's all mash bill number 1. The only difference is in how they age it and how long they age it. And proof. So, let's get into it. Very intense nose.
Extremely. A lot of corn.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it smells like cornbread. That seems to be a trend. But it's a sweeter cornbread than the Makers was, believe it or not.
Yeah, this
on the
smells-
nose, at least.
This smells really sweet, which is surprising because there's a lot more rye in this one than there is in the Makers one.
Right, but there is, I mean, it's still a lot of
It's still mostly
young corn. So
Still mostly corn, but...
corn whiskeys tend to, in general, be pretty sweet. And when you're getting nothing but the corn notes, it's going to naturally be sweeter.
Yeah.
Or appear to be sweeter. But, I don't know, I just need to knock this guy down. No finish.
None.
Oddly lighter, or less hot than the Makers one.
This is less hot than I remember it.
It's like hot on my tongue, but not like...
Yeah, it's very hot on the tongue, but
This
not...
is actually, like, almost pleasant to drink. Like, it has a bit of a Kentucky hug.
Definitely.
It definitely has building warmth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all cornbread, it's all...
It was kind of sweet whenever I first...
I'm getting sweetness the whole way through.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see based on this, like how these products are both as good as they are, though.
Right. Oh yeah, 100%. You can start seeing some of these characteristics just by trying the White Dog mash. I could... This is gonna sound crazy. I could pour a glass of this. I think. The Makers one, I feel like if it were higher
I don't
proof...
think I'm going to agree with you on that one, but...
I think we took very small pours. I think you'd have to revisit it in like...
Well, yes, this is true. But, like, as this stands, it's definitely palatable. I could see myself actually, not like a big pour of this, but almost having a shot, not just trying to quick take a shot of it, like actually savoring it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
I couldn't do a whole 1 or 2 ounce pour, but I could definitely pour a little shot and enjoy it. That's kind of surprising to me. It could just be I think, well, obviously the one big difference, aside from probably different grain, is the fact that the Makers does, I mean, instead of the rye, Makers has the winter wheat, and that could just react differently as it's younger and give off different flavors that, as it stands, might not be as palatable. But as it ages, obviously becomes my favorite distillery.
I'd be really interested to try Mashville number 2's White Dog.
I don't think they have one. Rye, wheat, mash number 1 is what I've seen. I don't know that I've seen 2. It might exist, but I don't know that I've seen it.
Definitely, I definitely want to try the wheated.
I want to try the wheated. I would try the rye
2.
one too.
I've seen 2, I think.
It's possible, but I've never seen it personally, but I wouldn't doubt it. But
what does number 2 end up into?
Blanton's, Rock Hill Farms, Elmer T. Lee, Benchmark. Benchmark?
Yes.
Benchmark. And, yeah, up on that lineup.
Okay.
Now, I don't know... What's the top of the top? I guess Blanton straight from the barrel is the top of Mash Bill 2. They don't have a B-tack for Mash Bill 2.
Not that
They have multiple for Mash 1, because they have Stag, Eagle Rare 17.
Sag and Eagle Rare 17.
And then the rye mash bill has 2 because they have Saz
Handy.
18 and Handy. And then the wheated has William LaRue. I think they just don't have a part of BTAC. I think that I could argue that they should put Blanton straight from the barrel as part of BTAC. It's like an honorary. But I also could argue that you could put EH Taylor barrel proof in there too.
Yeah.
But that being said, I mean, this was.
I
enjoyed this more than I expected.
I like that more than the makers, which is surprising with the.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with just unaged distillate that has red winter wheat. That could just not be as compatible. Because this is more like a traditional moonshine. You don't typically have wheated moonshine.
Yeah.
Usually, if you have moonshine, it's either straight corn,
or corn with a little bit of like rye or barley,
or a straight up bourbon mash bill.
Yeah.
If they make moonshine but also make bourbon, like Old Smoky makes whiskey and moonshine, they definitely would have a whiskey mash bill. But obviously, moonshine is their main thing.
Yeah.
But that was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't expect to love either of them in terms of a sipper, but no. They're both palatable, so I will give them both that.
I will say, so these are both really good bottles that, like, if you're going to a tasting like this, or like if you're hanging out with friends and you say like, hey, give this a try. Like,
It's a really cool conversational one. It's a really cool, when someone new's coming over and you're like, ooh,
you want to try something you probably haven't.
You want to try something I guarantee you've never had?
Yeah.
It's like, how about unaged Buffalo Trace? It's like when they have the white Jack Daniels. It's the same kind of thing. I would buy one of the white Jack Daniels just to try that. But I don't know what just happened. Anyway. Oh, he blew out something in his arm. That's not good.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so, yeah, that's the 2 white dogs.
Jesus.